welcome back to a long overdue versus video on From Screen to
Super
Shelf.
overdue.
And you will probably start noticing a trend that I am going to be watching for the first time, movies that I feel like most people saw in the womb, So that was what my challenge was. And you'll probably notice a trend that I typically prefer to go outside of the norm. So I issued Gabe watch a very divisive movie that even I didn't watch whenever people were talking about it a lot, but I watched it, I want to say about a week ago. I actually really liked it. I will speak for Will on this. Will hates this movie. So that's why
Oh,
when
really?
I
I didn't
found
know
out
that.
Will hates the movie. So like I don't think I'm saying hate and putting words in his mouth. I think that's exactly how he described the movie.
Wow,
He does
interesting.
not like that movie. Now again, hype at the time, and I was issued The Godfather. And yes, blasphemy. I'd never seen it,
Dude.
but that's why I'm going to go through all the classics.
Yeah, and
As
you saw it
time
on
goes on.
the 4K, right? You have the 4K disc?
Funny story. I guess I must have sold the 4K discs during that like little period of time.
You're
but
so
I
lucky
have
there's no leave button here. Well, there is a leave button, but I'm not going to do it.
but
I
I have
really
the
wanted
4K
to.
digitals. I do have those,
Okay.
but I do intend. You'll hear my thoughts. I have
Okay.
intentions. But
Cool.
Skinamarink, open it up.
All right, Skinamarink, and I literally just learned how to pronounce this movie's name. I was asking you right before we rolled because I was like, I have no idea how to pronounce this movie's name. So Skinamarink, man, I saw this movie. You really didn't preface it with anything. You
Nothing. Just watch it.
Yeah, you said here it is. This is the one I want you to watch.
Mhm.
Dude. Okay, so the first half of the movie, I really wanted to kill you. I really wanted to kill you, bro. I
So
really
slow.
wanted to text you so much and just tell you, like,
Angry emojis.
like, why are you wasting my time, dude? I've been staring at a
Yeah.
carpet for 15 minutes now. Like this is, oh, dude, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I'd say the second half, or it's hard to gauge, like the second half or last third,
Mhm.
when things kind of pick up a little bit, and I
Mhm.
mean, I don't even want to say pick up because this movie doesn't really pick
You
up that
pick up.
much.
It just
But
keeps going at the steady pace.
yeah, I mean, when it picks up at the baseline that it's at, um, I can see what the director was at least trying to do, and at least
Yeah.
for me, and you correct me if I'm wrong because you know a little bit more of the background of this movie. I get
Mhm.
the vibe that this director was trying to almost kind of go back to our childhood fears of almost like being alone as a young
It's
kid.
exactly the point of the movie.
That's what I got, because
Yeah.
and it kind of worked in the sense that I started recalling times when I was kind of left alone as a kid. Like, I mean, I was old enough to be left alone, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember those first times where it was kind of scary being left alone without any adults. It was
Yeah.
like almost like a big deal. It's like, okay, your mom's not home, your dad's not home, you're here by yourself. And it was like a
Mhm.
psychological thing, almost like growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
And it did remind me of a few instances where like I was at home alone,
Mhm.
and there were some scary instances that happened that I was maybe just either freaking, it was just all in my head
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever it may be, but I did get that impression from it.
Yep.
Now,
Took it
it
away.
just sucks though that the way he delivered that theme was through just freaking very static long shots
Yeah.
where not a lot happens. And that's the
Yeah.
problem I have with this movie. I think it's almost genius on like what he was trying to do with like the theme of the movie, and I think
Yeah.
he gets that point across. But I just wish he had done more, like and I mean he must have had a low budget for this movie. I'd imagine it's over
15,000.
15 grand. I think he could have done more with 15 grand.
Yeah.
That's just me. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I think that he could have done. Like, there are some moments here where you're staring at a TV set for like 7 minutes, 8 minutes, just hearing like maybe someone whisper something here and there, like every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, and I won't lie, the first half I was like almost nodding off. I'm like, this is the
Yeah.
most. I feel like Chase is just torturing me right now.
Yeah,
Um,
Tokyo Gore police flashbacks.
Dude, I was like, do I like Tokyo Gore Police in this movie? Because at least there's
Yeah.
something happening in Tokyo Gore Police. Like this
There's
is
a
just
lot
like there's
happening in that.
nothing going on. But I think
Yeah.
the moment that I started getting into it was I think it was, like, when he went to see his sister, and his sister, like, had, like her, and we're getting into spoilers, by the way. I don't wanna,
Hmm.
spoil it for people who do wanna see it, so we are gonna get into spoilers here a little bit. There's
Yeah.
a scene where he goes to see his sister, and, like, her mouth is kinda gone, and the eyeballs are kinda gone,
Yeah.
and then he's kind of instructed to stab his eye, from what I
Yeah.
understood, 'cause it the narrative is kind of hard to understand too, 'cause the
Yeah.
things flash quickly and the sequences kind of don't happen, like, very smoothly, but
Hmm.
I got the vibe that he was told to kinda stab his eye and then he was calling 911 or something.
Yeah.
That's when I was kinda getting into it. The ending, I hated the fucking ending of this movie.
Really?
I really didn't like the ending. I get what he was going for. I get, like, you see this kind of ominous figure. It looked like a face kind of from what
Yeah.
I could tell, and he's, asking, like, "What's your name? What's your name?" But I get it that it's like there is no name to it. It's just, it's our own kind of, like, fears that we all
Yeah.
kinda manifest and project, in our lives, but it
Yeah.
I was torn by the end of it, dude. I'm like, I think he I'm not gonna give this a 0 like Tokyo Gore Police. I think that this had a lot more,
Yeah.
I guess, there was intent behind it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could see, like, he was trying to develop some kind of theme and atmosphere with the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that is the best part of the movie is, like, when he sees his sister, when, he's instructed to stab in the 911 thing, and when he's, like, kinda walking upside down on
Yes.
the
That
through
was
the
really cool.
hallway. I think that's probably the best part of the movie, but that's, like, 1/3 of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So I would probably give this movie I was gonna say a 5. I
Which I think is solid.
I I'd give it like a 5.5, only
Yeah.
because I wanna give it a little bit more than a 5 just because I feel like I don't know if this director has done anything else. I think if he
He has a
had a
YouTube channel with a lot of stuff similar, but
okay.
this was his first movie made on 15K. Then Shutter picked it up. Then it got that word of mouth, and it leaked online, and then it went on Shutter.
I can see him if he had a full budget to do something that I think he could deliver something pretty unique.
Yeah, agreed.
So I kinda get almost even though we didn't get it with, what's his name for Paranormal Activity, I said the same thing about him when that came out, and he's just delivered kinda crap.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
this guy, I think he could, if he was given a full budget and full creative freedom to do something, I think he
hmm
could deliver something unique. So I'm gonna give it a 5.5. I I hated a lot of it, but
yeah,
there was some parts that I really appreciated just because it's like
yeah,
it reminded me of being a kid growing up and being scared and being afraid. Um, I just wish he had delivered it in a different way. I was really pissed too. Let me say this because I don't know what you thought of it. The whole filter, the freaking film filter on it.
yeah,
I it kind of annoyed me to be honest with you. I'm just like, just take it off. I mean, I
yeah,
get it. Like,
yeah.
if you're gonna do the film filter, like film it on what is it? Not 35 mil.
8 millimeter.
Yeah, just film it on 8 millimeter and
Yeah,
call it a day, and at least get the because I'm OCD about that shit, dude. I see the same freaking specs popping up in the same place. I'm like, okay, get this filter out of here, dude. Like, this
yeah.
is annoying. So,
I can
um,
understand that.
yeah, but I could see how Will hated this movie. There's
Yeah,
nothing that fucking happens in this movie for like 70% of it.
yeah. And yeah, because I just watched it. I think I had told you to watch it just a couple days after I did, because I was just genuinely curious because I remember Will had
Oh.
told me he didn't like it.
Mhm.
Um, because the word of mouth was so strong, and there's plenty of people that don't. This really has to be one of the more modernly divisive movies, in that realm. I just want to say before I go on to the movie that you issued me, I appreciated what it did with 15K.
Mhm.
It's a passion of love, a labor of love. I was working out while I was doing like watching it. I was like, I'll see if Will's right, this and that. It was I was on Shutter and stuff. I was doing my home workouts and stuff. So I turned it on, and this movie actually helped me realize a style of cinematography and horror that I really like, because I told Will and I did a versus, and he watched Inishmain.
Mm.
And Inishmain is shot very similarly, where things it was actually filmed on film, but it has that same aesthetic and it focuses on things for a long time. And I rank that as one of
Mhm.
my favorite movies of last year. Of course, I've redacted it and say that When Evil Lurks would take its place now, but it still is one of my favorites of last year, you know?
Yeah.
And this movie helped me realize that. So I turned it off and I watched it later when I could just, I'm not moving and just trying to watch something at the same time. And I really liked it. I gave it, or I give it a 7 out of 10. But somebody in the server that's also a fan of the channel, shout out Aid. This is one of his favorite horror movies. We were talking
Mm,
about it in the voice chat, and he told me to watch it with headphones, and it makes it even more terrifying because a lot of the times you're focusing in on stuff. Your sound bar, because of the EQ, isn't probably picking up on some of the more like very tedious sounds and the audio
yeah.
engineering in the movie. So that's my next rewatch. Is I'm probably gonna watch it with headphones,
I mean, it's a
because it
mono
sounds good.
track though, right? I could be wrong. I mean, I it was hard to tell because I don't
Yeah,
have a sound bar, so I have a receiver and
yeah,
speakers
yeah,
and everything, but it was like a
yeah.
lot of it was coming from the center channel. So
Oh, was
like,
it really?
yeah, I mean,
It's
I just
5.1 on the Blu-ray.
dude, I didn't. I mean, maybe I didn't have it up super loud, because I was
Yeah,
like, I mean, there's nothing really going on in this movie. It's just
yeah,
static shots. So like, I think honestly, if I had seen this in a movie theater,
mhm.
I think I would have been a little bit more spooked,
I
or like
agree. I
maybe it.
wanna go see it in the
Yeah,
theater.
yeah.
It'd
I
be
think
terrifying.
I think it's too late for me though. I will say that. Like
Yeah,
I right now, I don't want to go see it in a movie theater. If
yeah,
I just seen it blind, like just walk in a movie theater and just saw this, I think I would have had a different experience.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I get what he's going for. I just wish he
yeah,
kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's another way to deliver that theme of just kind of childhood fears and childhood horror that we kind of all went through growing
yeah.
up. But interesting theme, interesting premise, and I respect him for doing something different. You know what I mean? So yeah, I give it like a 5.5.
Yeah, it's very solid. Very,
Yeah.
very solid. Now on my pick,
Yeah, man, The Godfather, which
man,
is blasphemy that you've never seen it. I still
I
want to
don't even
reiterate
know.
that.
I just, man, it's just one of the reasons why I'm just not a big fan of like long movies. They just
Mhm.
the payoff is almost never there. No, I'm just kidding, bro. Of course, this movie was great, man. This
I'm
movie was
like,
great,
if
man.
that's what you think, bro, that's what you think. I'm gonna
He
come back with
starts
my
sending text.
assessment.
Turn
Yeah.
on a YouTube video. Just yeah, man, sounds good. No, this movie was phenomenal, man. I really do only have one complaint
Mhm.
about the movie is I wish, and it could just been the times I scrolled away from a distraction or something, but I wish it was a little bit more direct on the time lapses. Instead
Mm.
of it just being 10 years, I wish I knew exactly versus just gauging things because I can hardly tell whenever a few days is passing, a couple years almost is passing. I have to just use the context clues in the environment that they're in, which is okay. But I feel like I wouldn't need to really rewatch it. And I took away a lot out of the movie, surprisingly, my very first watch.
Mhm.
That's really my only complaint, and I think even the second one really suffers from the same exact thing.
Mhm.
I would even dare say worse, which that's for a later episode. But the first one, I loved it, man. Marlon
Thank
Brando,
God.
yeah, as the Don, the Godfather.
Mhm.
Man, I just want him to like narrate my life. Like, you know how on Waze, like you can get like celebrity voices and stuff. I
Yeah.
want his voice to navigate my GPS.
Oh,
Like,
dude, that'd be so badass. I'd pay for that 100%.
yeah, dude, it's just he kills it, man. It's really, really good. Al Pacino, absolutely kills the role that he's in, and it's really, really cool. Like it's really well balanced. It's just without either going on a Wikipedia, and again, maybe I'm just missing some things. Maybe you can correct me, but it's really hard to keep up with the time lapses sometimes. You know?
I can give you that. I think there's that scene that I remember when I first saw it. I mean, I saw it back. I think it was like a senior's high school or freshman college. Like I'd seen it, and there's that scene where he approaches Kay, and that's after like his after he was hiding out in Sicily for a while, or Italy,
Yeah,
and I think he had mentioned like it's been a few years. They're like, what the fuck? It's been a few years. Like what?
yeah.
I forgot exactly what he tells her, but yeah, it's been like a jarring amount of time, and you're like, what the fuck? Like,
It happened two
I'm not
minutes ago.
opposed to
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
opposed to like if they had maybe put like a little subtitle saying, like 3 years later or something
1940 or
like that.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that would have maybe helped a little bit. I'm not gonna complain about that.
yeah. That's really the only thing that I can really say. I think everything works about it. It's considered a masterpiece for a reason. I 100% get why this has the reputation that it does. It's really, really, really well done. All of the actors give 110%. the practical effects. And now again, I had to remind myself how much older it was, but I've seen a
Yeah.
little bit of better blood shots and stuff, and
Yeah.
even some horror movies from that time. But once you start talking like set designs and stuff like that, I just really loved Marlon Brando as Don Corleone, and I will dare make an official statement that the public can hold me accounted for. I do think that this is probably the best 20 minutes at the end of a film in film history.
Which part in particular do you think like
From
sparked
the
that?
baptism scene onwards.
That's what Will, I think, I don't know if you remember him mentioning the baptism
Yeah.
scene before. Yeah, that's, I mean, that's considered probably one of the top film scenes of all time is the baptism scene, just because the jarring, fucking
Yeah.
difference between the baptism and him murdering.
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
it's fucking amazing, dude. And the music too. It's fucking
Mhm.
horrifying.
With the baby crying and everything, and then
Mhm.
there was just something powerful about, like, spoilers if you've never I mean, I was literally the last person on earth to not see this movie,
Yeah.
but, um, but the way that Don Corleone goes out, I think it's really well done. I can see how people might find
Oh,
it
beautiful.
anticlimactic, but I thought it
Mhm.
was really, really well done, especially whenever, like honestly, I thought he was out of the movie. I kept forgetting that he was in, like, a comatose state for a little bit, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or in essentially, like, the ICU. Um, Even the back and forth with all the brothers, the family dynamic, who's getting power, who's getting this, who's getting that. It's really, 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 really well done.
Yeah.
I really, really do appreciate everything in this movie. It was really, really good. That's why I've been speed running them. You didn't even tell me to watch Godfather 3, and I only got 20 minutes left in it. So
With 3?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Holy shit, I thought you were, like, still on 2.
Oh no, dude, I finished 2.
Oh,
I'm on number
wow.
3. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome, dude.
Because you told me to watch Scarface, or at least you clowned me for not seeing Scarface. So I got to
Oh,
finish Godfather,
you
then go to
got me.
Scarface, and then somebody else told me to watch these particular James Bond movies. So then I got to get on those, broaden my taste.
Yeah,
But
dude, I
yeah,
mean, I
11 out
think
of 10.
Godfather, oh, sweet, bro. So you give it, like, a
Yeah,
perfect score.
yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I think the thing with it, so, people don't know this on my letterbox at least. I have The Godfather as my favorite film of all time. Like,
I was gonna ask how it ranks.
yeah, I think it's my favorite film of all time. I go back and forth between 1 and 2. It's like a hair, you know what I mean? Maybe I would
Yeah,
consider 1 just like a hair better than 2, but I sometimes go back and forth and I'm like, two's better than one. It's hard to tell because there's just so they're almost like the same movie where it's just like they're just separated by like, like a
yeah,
year or two in release. So I think the thing that resonates with me with Godfather, dude, is just like it's you see just a normal like I mean, they're doing fucked up shit, obviously, because they're the mafia, but it's like a normal family, you know what I mean? With like,
yeah.
like you said, the brothers and like the power dynamics and like
The
it's
dinner table rules.
the dinner table, yeah, just the wedding, like,
Yeah,
it's just so freaking grounded in the sense of, like, this is like anyone else's family, but they're doing fucked up, like, mafia
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
And I love the scene, and one of my favorite scenes of the entire film history, to be honest with you, is the final shot where the door closes.
Hmm.
I fucking love that scene. I just how it just
Yeah,
ends it, and you're like, "What the fuck's gonna happen next?" Or "Why does it end that way?" It's just a beautiful way to fucking end it, and one of my favorite soundtracks of all time
great
too. I love the
soundtrack.
fucking music in that movie, man. I'm glad you liked it, dude, because I remember I've always clowned you for not watching
The Godfather. Yeah, and I thought I
Godfather.
had him sitting down there for a while. It's just whenever I saw, because I know how people feel about 3, but I look at 2 movies, 6 hours between them, I'm like, "Damn, do you
It's a
know how
lot.
many, like, shitty horror movies I can watch in 6 hours?"
It's a lot. It's a big time commitment. They
Yeah.
are fucking long. I mean,
Yeah.
even I think part 3 is a shorter one, but it is still
It's two
long.
and a
I think
half
it's
hours still.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
2
the
hours
other 2 are
23.
3 they're 3 hours apiece, so, it's a big commitment, but I think, I
Yeah.
mean, you really get something out of it that I mean, I watch these movies, like, fucking every year, dude. I've always watched I mean, I
So you want
know, like, half the dialogue, to be honest with you, just because how many times I've seen them. 'Em. They're fucking amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm excited to hear what you think about part 2 because that's always the debate is part 2 or part 1. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what you're gonna think about part 2.
You'll know my thoughts on next episode of Versus.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get on the versus videos again, man. We've just been so busy.
Yeah.
It's been hard finding time to watch movies, but we'll get on the versus videos and try to bring Will into some of them too.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've done like a full on
All
versus all
3 of
three
us?
of us, which would be kind of interesting. Like if each of us kind of assigned one, you know what I mean? Just kind of like a
One movie.
triangle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be kind
Yeah,
of
he was a
interesting.
mediator on one of them. No, that was The Sacrament. He
Yeah,
sat
I
in
think
for The
he sat
Sacrament.
in for a little bit, but that was just to kind of mediate and give his thoughts on it. But
I forgot what he
Um,
had me watch. He had me watch something, and I told him to watch Inishmain. Oh, The Raid. He had me watch The Raid. It
oh, dude, you have fucking I love
was a
that
great
movie,
movie.
man. Yeah,
Yeah, it was great.
fantastic.
But yeah,
Um, yeah.
that was a really solid one. Glad you enjoyed that. And obviously, The Godfather is. I don't know if it would rank in my top 5. I could probably honestly consider it.
Oh,
You know, I
sweet.
had that
Holy
much
crap.
good. Yeah, I had that good of a time with it. So
That's awesome,
we'll
dude.
see how Godfather Part 2 pairs up on next episode of
Yep.
Versus.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Later.